I found an injured poi fox in the trash heap. In my free time, my favorite thing is to nestle in its soft fur and sleep. Later, its wounds healed, and it reverted to its true form. It warned me with a fierce glare. Foxes only have one mate in their whole life. I already have a fox I like. Get rid of all those dirty thoughts of yours. I will never like you. Then he ran off right after saying that. I stood there dumbfounded, with no clue what he was talking about. I'd been treating him like a cat this whole time. What does that have to do with a mate? Later, I picked up another chubby black cat. I was carrying the cat home when I saw the wronged white fox squatting at my door. Stupid cat demon, stay away from Yao Yao. She's mine. He casually cast a barrier to block the black cat outside. Watching the cat demon sharpen its claws outside the barrier, Chuyu smiled with satisfaction. Yao Yao, let's go rest. He leaned his face close and rubbed it against my cheek, super affectionately. I patted his head. Then he led me to the bed and held me to sleep contentedly. Looking at Chuyu's perfect side profile, I thought of the first time I met him. My name is Shuyao. I'm a rogue immortal who cultivates alone, since I hate the restrictions of sex. I built a house at the foot of Ling Mountain. I sleep till late every day, grow some veggies, wander around the mountains and woods. Life is super comfortable. One day I heard the disciples on the mountain say, "There's a kind of mushroom on Ling Mountain that's super juicy and tasty. Perfect for making soup." I got tempted right away. So I woke up super early, carried a basket, and headed up the mountain. Maybe because it was too early. The mountain was covered in a thin layer of mist. The higher I climbed, the thicker the mist got. Soon I couldn't see the mountain path clearly. I had to stop to rest for a bit. I sat down on the ground, rubbing my sore legs. The wind blew, carrying a sound like a baby crying. I listened carefully. The sound seemed to come from the northeast direction. Is there an abandoned baby on Ling Mountain? What kind of parents would be this cruel? I headed towards the sound. The sun came up. The mist on the mountain gradually dispersed. I followed the sound for about 15 minutes. The sound got weaker and weaker. I climbed over a small hill and didn't see any baby. I saw a little white fox with red pupils. One of its legs was caught in a hunting trap. Blood stained its white fur red. It lay limp on the ground, whimpering weakly. I crept closer quietly, but it noticed me right away. It dragged its injured leg back and hissed at me to stop. Don't move, the more you struggle, the tighter the trap clamps down. Seeing it stopped backing up, I tried taking 2 steps forward. It bared its teeth to threaten me. I took out the fruit I picked on the way and waved it in front of it. Relax, I'm here to help you. I saw its eyes follow my hand. This little fox must have been trapped here for a while. I walked closer to it and handed the fruit to it. It snatched it and started nibbling carefully. I squatted down in front of it, looked at the trap, judging by how rusty it was. This trap must have been here for a long time. I touched the trap lightly. The fox's leg twitched involuntarily. I turned to look at it. The little fox was holding the fruit. Its eyes drooped, looking super wronged. I have a weird quirk. I can't resist fluffy creatures. Without thinking, I reached out and rubbed its head. Then I saw it staring at me with wide eyes. I held back my laugh. Sorry, I couldn't help it just now. You're just too cute. Then I petted it again without holding back. I shifted my focus and looked around, picked up a wooden stick, stuck it into the gap of the trap, and pried it hard. With a click, the trap opened. The little fox quickly pulled its leg back. I saw its wound was pretty deep. So I tore a piece of my clothes and bandaged its wound simply. Pat his head. Go on, don't come back here again. I sling the back basket onto my back. I look up at the scorching sun in the sky before, I know it, it's already noon. Wonder if all the mushrooms on the mountain have been picked by others. Just as I'm about to step away, I feel something tugging at my pant leg. The little fox limps over on one injured leg, clamping its teeth on my pant leg, and rubs its head against my leg. I raise an eyebrow slightly. You want to come with me? The little fox wags its big bushy tail. Seeing that I don't say anything, it lifts its injured leg again, with tears welling up in its eyes. I squat down to look at it. I can take you home, but you have to go back on your own once your leg heals, okay? The little fox wags its tail even more excitedly. I pick it up in my arms and glance back at the mountain. Ah, well, I definitely won't get to eat mushrooms this time. After I get home, I never thought a fox could be this fussy. When I apply medicine to its wound, it squeals and yowls loudly in pain and insists on being petted to calm down. I made a special bed just for it, but it refuses to sleep there. It tore the bed to shreds while I was out. I was so mad that I locked it outside the door. Then it ran to the window, chirping so sadly, like I was some heartless jerk that abandoned it. In the end, I couldn't take it anymore, so I let it in. The second it got in, it pounced into my arms, rubbing and licking me nonstop, so I couldn't keep a straight face even if I tried to scold it. I figured it was just not used to the strange environment, so I let it sleep on half of my bed. Don't you dare tear this up, okay? This is my favorite bedding set. The little fox comes over and licks my hand. It tickles a little. I pet its fur. You're covered in snow-white fur. How about I call you Xiaobai? The little fox freezes for a second, but I think the name sounds nice and fits perfectly. So I take the chance to stroke its fluffy big tail. Go to sleep, Xiaobai. I blow out the lamp and lie down. I don't notice that its ears are bright red. Half a month later, Xiaobai's leg has started to scab over. I take off the bandage wrapped around its leg. It stretches its hind leg and tries to rub the scab. I hold its leg, shake my head and say, "Don't touch that. It's scabbing over, so it might be a little itchy. If you rub it, it'll bleed, so don't do that." Xiaobai leans over and licks the back of my hand. It tickles a bit, so I let go of its leg and tap its wet little nose. "You can go play outside, but don't touch the scab, okay?" It tilts its head and looks at me. I laugh and say, "Go on," normally because of its injury. I never let it run out to play. Xiaobai runs outside and chases the butterflies in the yard around and around. I turn around and go into the kitchen. I look at the empty kitchen. All the meat hanging on the wall is gone. Xiaobai is a carnivore. This whole period of time, I've been buying meat from the farmers down the mountain. I count the silver I have on me. Maybe I should go into the mountain to hunt some game and sell it at the market. I walk out of the kitchen while thinking this over. A sudden gust of strong wind blows over. So strong I can't open my eyes. When the wind dies down, Xiaobai is gone from the yard. I yell Xiaobai and search the whole house, but he's nowhere to be found. I freeze on the spot. I remember how it tilted its head at me just now. Was it saying goodbye to me? Looking at the quiet yard that's gone back to how it was before, I feel weirdly unused to the silence. I pick up the small blanket that blew off in the wind. Ah well, saves me some silver, I guess. Without Xiaobai's little whimpers begging for pets every night. I slept till the sun was high up in the sky. I stretch my arms. I push open the door and my eye twitches involuntarily. What's with the neat row of dead mice at my door? I look around and spot a set of tiny paw prints next to one of the mice. I hold back a smile and yell, "Xiaobai! If you want to leave, you can just go. You don't have to bring me gifts." I pause for a second, then laugh and add, "Besides, I don't eat mice." A faint chirp comes from somewhere in the wind. After that day, Xiaobai never showed up again. I went back to my old routine. I get bored staying at home, so I go up the mountain to pick fruits. Ordinary people can't get up Ling Mountain. People with no magic powers get sent back by the mist right at the entrance. The fruits on Ling Mountain are nurtured by spiritual energy, so they taste much sweeter than the ones outside. Every time I bring fruits and melons to the market, they all sell out in no time. That's how I got to know the shopkeeper of Yipin Pavilion in town. He fanned his fan and said, "Miss, want to make a deal?" I put away my backpack and looked at him. "What deal?" "From now on, no matter how many fruits you have, Yipin Pavilion will buy them all at 3 times the market price." "Sure." He was just about to add, "If that's not okay." "Huh? What did you say?" I answered seriously. I said, "Yes, that works." He froze for a second and asked, "Why didn't you haggle?" I didn't even finish my prepared lines. I turned around to leave. He yelled after me, "My name is Suchi. Just ask for me at Yipin Pavilion next time you come. Doing business with Suchi saves me a lot of trouble. I just need to drop the goods off at Yipin Pavilion, take the money, and leave. I even have extra time to wander around the market." I saw a street vendor selling jewelry. I walked over and glanced, and spotted a fine-toothed comb in the corner. I picked up the comb and examined it. "Boss, how much is this?" "Miss, this comb is made of natural ox horn. It costs 300,000. I rubbed it gently for a while. "Shobai would definitely love this comb." "Okay, I'll take it." I walked a long way with the comb. Before I remembered, Xiaobai was already gone. Looking at the comb in my hand, I smiled faintly and tucked it into my inner pocket. Meow. A weak, faint cat meow reached my ears. I turned the corner and saw a black cat lying on the ground, with whip marks all over its body. I frowned and walked over quickly. It was covered in blood, and its fur was all matted together. The ugly black cat was gasping for breath, its eyes tightly shut. I carefully put it in my backpack and took it home. After I treated its wounds, the sky had already turned dark. I turned around to wash my hands. I felt a gaze on my back. I turned around and saw the black cat was awake, staring straight at me. Are you an immortal from Spirit Mountain? I was shocked when he suddenly spoke. He really caught me off guard. You're a cat demon? He lifted his chin, looking super arrogant. Isn't it obvious? I froze for a moment, shook my head and said, You're weird. You're full of spiritual power but can't use any of it. I looked up and frowned. An immortal from Spirit Mountain once said that even though I have spiritual power, I'm as useless as trash. Even now, I only know some simple spells. How did you know that? The black cat licked its paw. My eyes can see a lot of things you humans can't. So do you have a solution for this? The black cat shook its head. I've never met anyone like you. But the empty realm collects all the strange treasures and records in the world. Maybe there's a solution there? Empty realm. It's said to be a place full of countless rare treasures. Its location has always been a mystery. Someone once said, You can find it if you keep heading north. Countless people have flocked to look for it, but all came back disappointed. I tossed and turned all night. I used to be super motivated about cultivating, but no matter how hard I tried, I never made any progress. So I gave up on cultivating and lived a relaxed life here every day. Maybe I should go give it a shot. The black cat's name is Hei Yi, after his wounds were fully healed. I told him my idea. I want you to come with me to the empty realm. Hei Yi was lying on my lap, looked up at me. I can't find the empty realm either. I stroked his back unconsciously with my fingers. Consider this your way of repaying me for saving your life. He stiffened. Who asks for a favor in return like that? I rubbed his head. Of course, I'm never polite about these things. We set a date. We'd leave at the start of the month. I told Suchi in advance. I'm going on a long trip soon. I won't be delivering the goods for a while. Suchi fanned his usual fan and smiled. Sure. Where are you going, little Yao Yao? A very far place. I don't even know where exactly it is. I don't know how long I'll be gone either. The night before we left, dark clouds suddenly covered Spirit Mountain. Thunder rumbled loudly, echoing nonstop. Lightning in the sky lit up the entire area. I shut the doors and windows tight. Wonder who that could be. A powerful cultivator going through tribulation, making such a huge ruckus. The next day, the rain carried the smell of dirt, and fresh earthy scent hit me right in the face. The sun was already slowly creeping up over the horizon. I tidied up my stuff quickly and spotted that ox horn comb on the table. I hesitated for a second and decided to bring it anyway. I picked up Blackwing and headed down the mountain. Blackwing's put on weight lately from all the food I fed him, so he's a bit heavy for me to carry. Can't you turn into your human form? I wish I could. Last time, I didn't just get external wounds. I had internal damage too. I sighed and hoisted him a little higher in my arms. Then eat less next time. Blackwing turned his head away, ignoring me. Just as we got down the mountain, we saw a carriage parked at the crossing. We were about to walk past it when Suchi lifted the carriage curtain. Hey, Yao Yao, which direction are you heading? I froze. I didn't expect to run into him here. We're going north. Suchi closed his fan, clapped his hands and said, What a nice coincidence. My nephew's not in good health. I'm heading north to find medicine for him. Want to travel together? The matter of me looking for Kong Jing shouldn't be known by too many people. I declined and said, No thanks, we might disturb your nephew. It won't be a disturbance. A weak male voice came from inside the carriage. Suchi lifted the carriage curtain with his fan, and the person inside showed his face. He was wearing a moon-white long robe, with a face as fair as carved jade, red lips and white teeth. His pair of fox-like eyes were utterly captivating, probably because of his illness. His face was rather pale, which made his lips look even redder in contrast. He held Suchi's hand and walked out slowly, covering his mouth with a handkerchief. He coughed softly. Or do you look down on me? That self-pitying look in his eyes made my heart skip a beat. I explained immediately, Of course not. Then sorry to trouble you too. On the way, apart from Suchi chatting occasionally, everyone else kept quiet. I petted Blackwing absent-mindedly. The white-robed young master kept glancing at me every now and then. I couldn't help but glance back at him, only to see him staring at my hand. Frowning tightly, I looked at my own hand. It looks totally fine, young master. Is there something wrong with my hand? I don't know if it was my imagination. The second he lifted his head, I swore I saw a hint of resentment in his eyes. I froze for a split second. But when I looked again, he was already leaning softly against the side. Just call me Chu Yu. May I ask for your name, miss? Ku Yao. He leaned in and looked me straight in the eyes. Can I call you Yao Yao? I should have refused. But when the words reached my mouth, they turned into sure. Shu Yu covered his lips with his handkerchief, his voice weak. Yao Yao, I'm so tired. I want to sleep for a while. Before I could say anything, he rested his head gently on my shoulder and closed his eyes. Looking at his pale face, I swallowed the words of refusal I was about to say. Shu Yu always gives me a familiar feeling. Suchi was looking at us with a big grin on his face. Your nephew's really friendly with strangers, huh? Suchi waved his fan, shook his head and said, Not really. Shu Yu let out a soft hum, as if he wasn't sleeping very comfortably. I subconsciously straightened my back, then immediately regretted it. Why was I accommodating him? When night fell, we entered the city. Suchi took us to Yipin Pavilion. I sat in the room and looked around. Turns out traveling with them isn't bad at all. At least I don't have to sleep out in the open. Blackwing, who hadn't said a word the whole trip, was pacing back and forth on the table nonstop. I folded up my clothes neatly and glanced at him. What's wrong with you? Blackwing looked like he wanted to say something but held back, glancing at the door over and over again. Stay away from that Chu Yu. He's not a good guy. I was confused. Why? Blackwing licked his fur irritably and said, Just do what I say. It won't hurt you. A sudden knock came at the door. Blackwing and I both looked towards the door at the same time. Yao Yao, come out for dinner. I stood up and opened the door. Chu Yu was standing at the doorway, looking at me with a smile. When he saw Blackwing behind me, his expression stiffened for a split second. He's staying in the same room as you? I noticed his gaze landed on Hei Yi. Hei Yi trembled slightly. It's my cat. Yours? Chu Yu frowned. He stared daggers at Hei Yi, like he could burn a hole right through it. I stepped in front of him. Didn't we come to eat? Let's go. After we went downstairs, Chu Yu was in a bad mood. He looked like he was lost in thought. Suchi glanced at him, then glanced at me. I sat up straight at the table and ate my meal seriously. Suchi leaned to my ear and whispered, What's wrong with him? I shook my head and went back to eating. After dinner, Suchi knocked on my door. He looked a little awkward. He walked in and greeted me. Are you comfortable staying here? I nodded, and he cleared his throat awkwardly. So here's the thing. I think your little cat is really cute. How about letting it stay with me for one night? I was confused. You like cats? Yeah, I'm thinking of getting one. I want to see if we get along first. Suchi reached his hand out and touched the neck of Hei Yi, who was just about to run away. Hei Yi froze on the spot. I saw Hei Yi nuzzle Suchi's hand affectionately. Does it want to go with him? Sure, Hei Yi was internally screaming. A dark shadow flashed into the room. It was Chu Yu, standing by my bed. He squatted down after a moment and pressed his face gently close. He mumbled softly, You, how could you forget me? How could you hug someone else? I'm so heartbroken. So sad. After Chu Yu left, I opened my eyes. Oh, he was nudging me like a puppy. How could I not wake up? Why did he say I forgot him? Have we met before? He's so good looking. There's no way I'd forget him. The next day, just as the sky was getting light, morning sparrows landed on the branches outside and started chirping. I was woken from my sleep by soft knocking at the door. When I got up, my fingertips touched the ox horn comb beside my pillow. The comb still held the coolness from last night. I froze for a second. I stuffed it into my sleeve casually. Before going to open the door, Shu Yu was standing in the corridor. Morning mist had dampened the ends of his hair. The hem of his moon-white robe brushed against the bluestone slab, making his already pale face look even more clear and delicate. When he saw me come out, the corners of his eyes curved first. His fingertips trembled slightly when he reached out his hand. Like he was afraid I'd reject him, yet also seemed a little eager. I stared at his hand with its distinct knuckles and thin calluses on the fingertips. The image of him squatting by my bed, mumbling last night, suddenly popped into my head. My heart softened for no reason. I hesitated for a moment, then finally placed my hand in his. His palm was warmer than it looked. When his fingers curled around my wrist, the pressure was just right, firm enough to hold me steady. I just stepped onto the carriage's footboard. When the carriage swayed slightly, I subconsciously leaned to the side. He immediately tightened his arm and pulled me into his embrace. The tip of his nose brushed against the top of my hair. He said quietly, "Be careful." His warm breath brushed past my ear, making the tips of my ears burn hot. After we got into the carriage, he didn't let go of me immediately. He just placed my hand on his knee and gently rubbed his thumb over my fingertips. His movement was gentle but carried an unnoticeable stubbornness. Hei crouched in the corner. Flicking its tail, it rolled its eyes, but didn't dare make a sound. It just buried its head in its paws, acting like it was better off not seeing anything. Suchi's voice came from outside as he drove the carriage. The carriage wheels rolled over the bluestone road, making a steady rhythmic sound. Shuyu leaned against the cushion and turned his head to look at me. His gaze traveled from my eyebrows to my sleeve. He seemed to notice something, but didn't ask any questions. He just pulled the thin blanket off himself and draped it over both our legs, where the edges of the blanket touched. His warm body heat seeped through the fabric. It made me feel a little fidgety. By noon, the carriage stopped at a tea house beside the official road for a rest. The tea house was crowded with people coming and going, most of them traveling merchants. It was really noisy. Shuyu didn't like the noise, so he pulled me to the farthest corner seat. He ordered a pot of Qingming tea and 2 plates of delicate pastries. He picked up a piece of osmanthus cake and held it to my lips. His eyes were sparkling bright. It looked exactly like the way Xiaobai squatted in my palm begging for snacks back then. I opened my mouth and took a bite. The sweet osmanthus fragrance spread across my tongue. When he saw me eating, the grin on his face grew even wider. He didn't take any bite himself, though. He just rested his chin on his hand and stared at me. His gaze was so soft and clingy, like he wanted to carve my entire look into his eyes. Sushi walked over carrying a bowl of beef noodles. He sat across us, fanning himself, and teased, "Kid, you might as well glue your eyes right onto Yao Yao." Shuya didn't even try to hold back. Instead, he scooted even closer to me, wrapped an arm around my waist, and rested his chin on my shoulder. He huffed at Suchi, "Yao Yao is mine." What's wrong with me staring at her a little more? His moves were way too intimate. Quite a few people in the tea house glanced our way. My cheeks burned up with embarrassment. I pushed lightly against his chest, but he didn't move an inch. He tightened his arm instead and chuckled low in my ear. His warm breath brushed against my earlobe. Is my Yao Yao shy?" Suchi burst out laughing at the scene. He took 2 quick bites of his noodles and said again, "Up ahead is the mass burial ground. It's not safe here at night. We need to get out of this area before sunset, or we might run into some nasty, unclean things." My heart skipped a beat instantly. I remembered I was born with a constitution that attracts evil spirits. I subconsciously grabbed tight onto Chuyu's sleeve. He noticed I was getting nervous. He held my fingertips and patted the back of my hand gently. He said in a firm tone, "Don't be scared. I'm here." His palm was warm, his grip steady and reassuring. I somehow felt completely at ease right away. We got back on the road again. Soon the sky started to darken gradually. The wind also picked up and blew harder. The dead trees on both sides of the road were twisted and leaning. Their branches swayed violently in the wind, looking like skinny, withered human hands. Ae stood up from the corner. His back was stiff as a rod. His ears pressed flat against the top of his head. He said in a low voice, "Something's wrong. The yin energy around here is way too heavy." As soon as he finished speaking, the carriage jolted to a sudden stop. Suchi's voice came from outside the carriage, tinged with obvious wariness. "Who's there?" Right after that came a cold, creepy laugh. The female voice was sharp and shrill, sounding like nails scraping across a wooden board. The little girl inside the carriage has such sweet spiritual energy. Why would I ever refuse such a perfect free snack? Shuyu's face darkened immediately. His originally gentle features were covered with a layer of cold frost. He pulled me behind him to protect me. When he pushed open the carriage door, spiritual energy was swirling wildly all around him. His moon-white robes flapped loudly in the wind. I poked my head out to look, and saw that on the open ground outside the tea house, there were more than a dozen green-faced fanged little ghosts standing. The one leading them was a female ghost in red robes, with her hair hanging all loose and messy. Her face was bluish-black in color. Her eyes were fixed dead on me, full of raw greed. Suchi stood beside the carriage. His fan was folded closed in his palm. He held a magic talisman between his fingertips. But he didn't make a move right away, like he intentionally wanted to watch Chuyu fight first. The little ghosts howled and rushed towards us. Chuyu lifted his hand and waved it lightly. A streak of silver-white spiritual energy swept out. The moment the little ghosts touched it, they instantly turned into thin plumes of black smoke that dissipated completely in the wind. When the red-clothed female ghost saw her underlings wiped out instantly, her face turned even darker. She screamed sharply, "You ungrateful little brat! How dare you ruin my good plans?" As she spoke, she stretched out her index finger. Her nail instantly grew to 3 inches long, glowing with a faint, eerie green light, and lunged straight at Chuyu. Chuyu turned sideways to dodge. He formed a spell with his fingertips. A silver light shot straight towards the ghost's forehead. The ghost barely managed to dodge it, but the light still grazed her shoulder. Half of her arm turned into ash instantly. "Who on earth are you?" The red-clothed female ghost clutched her wounded shoulder, her voice shaking with obvious terror. Chuyu let out a cold sneer. The spiritual energy around him grew even stronger. Even the surrounding air felt like it had frozen solid. "You don't deserve to know." He moved in a sudden flash and appeared right in front of the female ghost. He grabbed her by the neck and squeezed slightly with his fingertips. The ghost's face instantly swelled up and turned purplish-black. Her eyes were full of unwillingness and fear, but she didn't even have the strength to struggle at all. "Get lost!" Chuyu's voice was ice-cold, without a single trace of warmth in it. As soon as that word was spoken, the red-cloaked female ghost vanished like smoke in the wind, leaving only a red dress behind, floating gently down to the ground. Chuyu waved his hand casually. Flames burst out with a whoosh, burning the dress to ashes. Not even a trace of yin energy left behind. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. I stood by the carriage door, my heart pounding with fear as I watched. I'd never seen such powerful spiritual power before. Even if the elders of Spirit Mountain made a move, they might not be this neat and efficient. Chuyu turned around. The cold frost on his face faded instantly, his usual icy look. Chuyu let out a cold sneer. The spiritual power around him grew even stronger. Even the surrounding air felt like it was frozen. "You don't get to know that." He moved in a flash and appeared right in front of the female ghost, grabbing her by the neck. His fingers tightened slightly. The ghost's face instantly turned dark purple. Her eyes filled with unwillingness and fear. She didn't even have the strength to struggle. "Get out!" Chuyu's voice was ice cold, with not a single trace of warmth. As soon as that word was spoken, the red-cloaked female ghost vanished like smoke in the wind, leaving only a red dress behind, floating gently down to the ground. Chuyu waved his hand casually. Flames burst out with a whoosh, burning the dress to ashes. Not even a trace of yin energy left behind. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. I stood by the carriage door, my heart pounding with fear as I watched. I'd never seen such powerful spiritual power before. Even if the elders of Spirit Mountain made a move, they might not be this neat and efficient. As soon as he turned around, the cold frost on his face faded instantly, and he went back to his usual gentle look. He walked quickly over to me and fixed my wind-tousled hair with his hand. He asked softly, "Were you scared?" I shook my head, then nodded again. As I looked into his eyes, I couldn't help asking, "Who exactly are you?" "Your cultivation level." He pinched my cheek gently. He chuckled and said, "I'll tell you later. Let's focus on traveling first. Don't let these filthy things ruin our mood." Suchi walked over, fanning himself. He said with a grin, "Not bad. Kid, you've been hiding your skills pretty well." Chuyu glanced at him, didn't reply, just helped me back into the carriage. He pressed me down on the soft cushion and poured me a cup of hot tea, then handed it to me. "Warm yourself up. Don't be scared, I'm here. From now on, I won't let any evil spirit touch you even once." His voice was gentle but firm. I held the warm teacup in my hands. My heart felt all warm, but there was more curiosity in my eyes when I looked at him. This seemingly weak young man in white had way too many secrets hidden on him.